Right now, I have to stop saying
Makes me laugh every time. Boy, you want some drama? Well, the end or the third period of Game 2 of the Western Conference Final gave you drama. And we're going to talk about it. Hintz in a walking boot. No major penalty. No extra suspensions or fines. Fans for both sides upset. Luddy's sick of it already. Let's talk about it here on the DLLS Stars Game 3 pregame show, which starts right now.
Boys.
This is the DLLS Stars pregame show. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy responsibly. And by Happiest Hour, our home base and the best place to catch the NHL playoffs and cheer on the Dallas Stars. Just steps away from the AAC, the ultimate spot with 50-plus beers and 40-plus TVs for all the big moments every single game day. Happiest Hour, your favorite spot for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And good afternoon, everybody. It's weird because it's a day game, and that's not something that the Edmonton Oilers are used to. Well, the Stars did it a little bit this year, but this is the DLS Stars pregame show ahead of Game 3 of the Western Conference Final. Big welcome to everybody watching in on YouTube and, of course, on Victory Plus. Before we get to all of the action today in our pregame show, don't forget we have the Ball Knower bonus back here at DLLS, and we have a new challenge for you. Will Mikko Rantanen record a point in Game 4, which is on Tuesday night in Edmonton? You can win a gift card to the ALLCITY merch store if you pick correctly. Here's how it works. First, pick the winner. Start by picking if you think Mikko Rantanen will record a point in Game 4 at Edmonton. Then you browse our store and make a purchase of at least $25 or more, all the way up to a $250 max. If your pick wins, you win a gift card for the same amount as your original order. So here's the important thing. You must click on the link in the chat, also in the show YouTube description, to bet and get your gift card. So do you think Mikko will get a point on Tuesday night in Game 4? For all the ball knowers out there, make your pick, place an order, and if you pick correctly, you're going to get a gift card from us for the same amount as your order. That's the Ball Knower bonus. And we welcome in the, before I even welcome in
the Otter.
Look at that. That's the new Otter shirt. I think it's spectacular. The Finnish Mafia shirt I'm wearing was my favorite. That one, I think, might take the cake. Both of them are fantastic. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Anything from the DLLS merchandise store, you can use that for your Ball Knower bonus. And I know a bunch of people in the last series cashed in and got extra and won gift cards because they bet on Wyatt Johnston to, I believe, score a goal. And he did against Winnipeg. Well, look at Luds. Two-time Stanley Cup champion Craig Ludwig wearing the captain shirt today.
There's a reason for that.
I got the Mafia. What's today's reason? You went with Moose Mode for Game 1 and it worked. What makes you think Game 3 captain is what's the hidden agenda here?
I'm expecting the captain to do captain-like things today.
Okay, so I teased this in the intro. This has to do with Roope Hintz, doesn't it?
Yeah, however you want to word it.
Okay, so if you don't remember, and I'm sure that everybody watching does, Roope Hintz got slashed. There's some debate about where. I'm submitting that it was the top of the laces. Luds has been watching the Zapruder films a few times, and he's not so sure. But either way, he left the game. He was carried off the ice, literally helped off the ice on one foot, and down the tunnel, did not return. It was about 3 minutes into the third period. It was a 2-minute minor. They did not adjust it. I mean, they called a major, reviewed it, gave it a minor. There was no supplementary discipline. And as far as we know, he is a game time decision. Now, Luds, based on what Pete said and the fact that Hintz is on the trip and, well, actually, hold on. He was seen leaving the arena for Game 2 in a walking boot. Then at the airport, he was not seen, at least by anybody reporting on it, And there was some doubt but from Pete DeBoer they were waiting on some tests of whether he would make the trip or not, according to Pete DeBoer. Well, he made the trip. It's reported that he's at the arena, and because Pete said, and his pregame availability, and we're going to play a little bit of it, but if you want to see the full one, go to the DLS Stars Twitter page after the pregame show. And he said he's a game time decision. I interpret that as he's playing today.
I do too.
Yeah. So now that that's being said, tell us about the captain and what you mean by captain-like things.
Well, I'll be honest. I kind of figured last night he would be playing.
You thought so?
Yeah. So what do you want me to talk about now, Pete DeBoer?
No, you said doing captain-like things.
See, I kind of checked out there for a second.
Now, I know. That's why we bring you back.
Well, I think the series obviously is starting to heat up, and which happens in all series. And you can look at the other series going on. That one's starting to heat up because you're at that point where you're playing for something pretty important. And I think I look at Jamie. And again, I'm not going to talk offensive things there. I think that there's not a lot of other options for the Dallas team if you want to start to push back. But I think when you want to begin to push back, it begins and ends with Jamie. And so I would expect, his first shift to be a physical shift. And I don't think that you play in control, though. And I think that Jamie will have an opportunity to get a couple of hits on Nurse. It's always nice, Unfortunately, when you're a defenseman, you're kind of open game more than you are if you're a forward. So for the forwards on the forecheck and things like that, and there are going to be times I would hope that when you know that player is on the ice, you're telling your other forwards, and everybody's got to be on the same page. We're putting the puck into his corner early in the game. And so, but you just got to be careful you don't cross the line too early. Because again, this Edmonton team, if I remember correctly, they were 6 of 10 on the power play at home. They weren't very good on the road coming into the start of this series. So, they're a home crowd and everything else. They're pretty good on their power play. So don't put yourself in danger. But I'm just looking for the captain today to lead that and then be able to control that at the same time. You have to kind of play the game that's there, but you don't want to be giving this game away too early.
Okay, John, there's a couple of mentions in the chat I want to pop up there. Ryan Birch says Chris Chelios was on TNT postgame last night, and he referenced Luds in situations like this where he would make his presence known. What's your former Montreal teammate talking about?
I know exactly. There was something that happened in one of the games, and I think it was against Chicago in the playoffs or something like that, and it was Trent Yanni, and I think I said something. Apparently, I heard that's what Shelley said. Led said, well, and again, I got suspended. And I got suspended 5 games. That's a lot.
That's a message for playoffs.
Well, it wasn't a good hit. It was a bad thing to do. I apologized to him, but he was out cold on the ice. I looked over the tie, I said, I'm sorry, but apparently he didn't hear me.
He probably didn't, yeah.
Probably didn't hear me. But again, it's a different time, different era, and I don't even think we won that series, and it could have been at a point where we weren't going to win the series. And that's kind of my point: is you don't want to give a team and take an advantage of something like that because they're all just going to sit back and go ding, ding, ding. Like let them do that, let them run around. We're not going to retaliate and all that kind of stuff. So it's initiate, don't retaliate. I would say that's kind of a phrase that's thrown around a lot, But yeah, like I said, that was a different time. This now, there's a little different. But I just think that in particular with everything that happened and how it unfolded, I'm looking for Jamie, and not just Jamie. There's guys like Bischel and if Petro's in tonight, I don't, or this afternoon, I don't know if he's going to be in or Lubushkin's going to be in. But regardless, there's some defensemen back there that can. You don't. And here's the other thing that you do. You don't have to say, and they've kind of said this, and Pete kind of hinted at it. I don't think he hinted at it, but you can say, you know what? We're not going after Nurse. We're going after Draisaitl. And you look right at their bench. I don't care about him. I want Draisaitl. I want McDavid. You guys want to keep running around? Well, that's what's going to happen.
Chuck in the chat said it doesn't matter if Hintz plays or not. Cheap shot by Nurse needs to be dealt with.
It does, but don't give the series away because of it.
To me, that's
what
number
you don't
one.
want to do. Yeah, that's what
don't
I mean.
Lose the plot.
It hurts them more by knocking them out of the playoffs, and then maybe
worse.
Maybe it happens in Game 4 when you scored 2 empty net goals and you want to go ahead, but then you want to be on the side where then the league knows it's coming. Everybody in the hockey world knows it's coming. Don't get suspended going into Game 1. So if you have to, you take it out and you pick it up next year, because the most important thing, like I said, is to win the hockey game. There are other ways to get to people, but they're going to be watching. That's the thing, is referees aren't going to try to slant this thing, but they know everything that's been going on here. They're going to be watching for the cheap shots on Nurse. Whether he deserves it or not, that's what they're going to be looking for.
You mentioned, that's interesting. You mentioned whether it's now or next year. Is this something where you could worry about the series and winning and still remember that when if they meet during the regular season next year?
Oh, for sure. There's no question that that's going to happen anyways. But again, but then there could be a time in a game here where it gets lopsided on one side or the other, and that may be an appropriate time. But try not to get yourself suspended. If you can get the guy to fight, then go ahead. If that's the way you think the best way to handle it, I'm just going to tell you, it better be the right guy, because Nurse is pretty good.
He's
a tough
tall,
kid.
He's rangy, he's tough.
His dad was a boxer, and he learned how to box, and so he's just a tough kid. So I don't even think that's going to bother him. I think actually for Darnell Nurse right now, he's probably going, let him bring it. I'm not concerned.
You mentioned this earlier, talking about pointing at McDavid and Draisaitl, and that was something that we heard.
Or Hyman, or
there was
RNH,
a story about the anonymous player in St. Louis where was it? I think Marchenko told us, Jamie Benn stares at the bench, and if you do that again, I'm going after you.
Yeah,
that's
my point.
Yeah,
that's what that was the old school way too. I mean, you did it that way too at times. But, and again, like we were talking about the thing in Chicago with me, like Trent Yanni wasn't their tough guy. He just happened to take a chop on someone or something like that. But yeah, there's different ways, and so we'll see how it all unfolds. But again, I just look at Jamie, but the bottom line is the Dallas Stars got to be better 5-on-5.
Yes.
That's it, and that can start with Jamie too. I mean, I would love to see Jamie get that first 5-on-5 goal today. That's why I got Jamie out here. That's my point.
Okay, we're going to get back to 5-on-5 in just a minute, but I want to talk to you about being a response team. Okay, the Stars have not lost consecutive games in the 2025 playoffs, and they've scored lots of goals in their response games, the game after a loss. And I did the math real quick, because they've lost 5 games. They've won the following game the first 4 times. We'll see if they do it again today. But after losing game 1 against Colorado 5-1 at home, they won 4-3 in overtime, the Colin Blackwell game. They scored 4 in that game. Then against Colorado in game 5, after getting blanked 4-0 in game 4, they came home and they trounced them 6-2. It's a really big performance for the Stars. Game 7 against the Avalanche, after losing 7-4 in game 6, they won 4-2. Now, again, that was a third period rally. That was the Mikko game, the hat trick, but they got 4. Then they lose game 2 in Winnipeg 4-0. They come back, win 5-2 at home in game number 3 against the Jets. And then, of course, they lost game 5 4-0 in Winnipeg, came back and won 2-1 in overtime. So, Leds, you add it all up, they are averaging 4.2 goals per game in the response game in the playoffs, and they've given up 2.0. So that's an average of 2 plus 2.2 goals in response. Why do you think they're so good in response?
I mean, again, I always start with leadership and the conversations and things, the preparation that goes into a game. I talk about Ed Belfour all the time. He was always better after a loss, and that next game you knew that we could count on him. So, but again, that's all great, and that's good confidence-wise, and you can draw a little bit on that, but different opponent, different situation, and like we say, the momentum doesn't really carry over. So it's not like Edmonton, because they won a game in Dallas, that momentum will be taken away in the first 2 shifts of the hockey game. So I mean, again, it's a good stat to have, but continue it. Awesome.
On the flip side, Dallas has now failed to score a goal in 4 playoff games this year. They've been shut out 4 times, as I mentioned.
3 of them by this goalie.
Once against Colorado, twice by Hellebuck, and then Skinner. Gets one here.
And Skinner's got what, 3 of 4?
3 of his last 4 starts. Yes.
2 in the last
1.
Yeah, okay.
Is that a concern that they've been shut out 4 times? Does that style matter?
No, I think if anything, it's you're making the point of get more shots up earlier, often go to the net, make it uncomfortable for him. So we saw the way he was in game 1 when there was traffic there. Sometimes he didn't know whether to grundle or wind his watch, but I'm just saying he didn't know which way to turn, and that was because of traffic. And because of people being in front of him, right in his grill, standing on top of the crease, sometimes in the crease. So I think a goaltender, and again, you've got numbers and stats, and we've talked about the matchup between, Skinner and Jake, and Skinner's on the good side of that. But you have to make it uncomfortable with this guy. He had a good game. He's probably all full of confidence right now. The best scenario is score that first goal in the first 5-10 minutes of the period and get the lead and get some quality chances and make him work hard to make saves today.
Roope Hintz on the ice for warmups, as reported by Leah Simakopoulos of the Dallas Morning News. Our intrepid beat writer Sam is on his way to Edmonton, but I'm not sure what's going on with his travel. He's had some bad luck here in the last 24 hours. So, Sam, be brave, keep soldiering on. You'll get to Edmonton hopefully before the end of the series.
Hopefully before the next game.
Yeah, we'll worry about that. But up next, we have some interesting comments from Pete DeBoer, Connor McDavid, and Pete DeBoer again here on the DLLS Dallas Stars pregame show ahead of Game 3.
And just before we came on, we got a text message from Sam wondering where to go in Denver to watch the game today. So listen to this read, Sam. When you're headed to a Dallas Stars game, there's no better pregame or postgame spot than Happiest Hour. I'm not sure they're in Denver, but check it out. Grab a beer, devour some apps, then walk across the street and catch the game. Happiest Hour brings the playoff energy with 40 TVs, a jumbo LED screen that turns game nights into events. Happiest Hour doesn't just do apps, they do happy-tizers. The Ferris wheel of wings, the jumbo pretzel, a nacho tower, we'll just put it that way,
Yeah, you
and
caught
more.
yourself.
And that to a full menu of game day favorites, and you've got a playoff spread worth cheering for. Happiest Hour has over 50 beers on tap, signature cocktails, frozen drinks, and beer towers for the table full of Bud Light. Join us for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. on weekdays and score half off apps and signature cocktails. It's the best value play in Victory Park. Whether it's weekday or weekend, Game 7 or off season, Happiest Hour is our favorite spot. Check them out right down the street from American Airlines Center.
All right, let's talk about Sleeper. Oh, boy. John is getting his picks ready as we speak. Actually, he's a professional. He's been prepared, so he has them ready already. In a moment, we'll hear from John about what he's going to go with this afternoon for Game 3. It's the best fantasy league platform out there. Put your puck or ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Sleeper keeps you in the loop for instant alerts for breaking news and major injuries. Stay ahead of the game and keep track of updates in real time so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Stars right down there and get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Apply it to any contest. Doesn't have to be your first. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states, including Texas. Check out Sleeper today. And now, drum roll please, here's John.
And Sleeper does have a pick on sale. The more or less number for Jake Oettinger saves is down from 28.5 to 25.5. I'm going to take Otter on the road to record less than 25.5 saves. And our entry last game actually went decently well. All we missed on was the SL Lindell more than 2.5 block shots. So I'm going to stick with Miro Heiskanen to record more than 1.5 shots on net again, as well as Darnell Nurse to record less than 2.5 blocked shots. More than 0.5 sticks to feet for Darnell Nurse is also a pick on sale. Just kidding, ha ha ha. And final part of the entry there. Let's have Mikko put the team back on his back. Put the team on his back yet again. Technically, that was grammatically correct. It just sounded funny.
Yes.
Mikko Rantanen more than 0.5 goals. So that's Jake Oettinger to record less than 25.5 saves. Miro Heiskanen more than 1.5 shots on goal. Darnell Nurse less than 2.5 block shots. And Mikko Rantanen to record a goal. $10 wins the people. $97.01.
Thank you, John. The Edmonton lineup for warmups was just posted by Tony Brar, and he has, just doing a quick scan here, everybody's accounted for and present, Lud, so no changes for the Oilers. Mark Spector, who covers the Oilers for Sportsnet, said, stand by. Hintz just had a long shot, I think he means long talk, with the trainer and walked back to the dressing room not halfway through warmups. So stay tuned on Roope Hintz's availability here. We will see whether or not he is good to go. We have a bunch of stuff I want to play for you, reaction here. So let's start with Pete DeBoer. This is yesterday as they were getting ready to fly to Edmonton, being asked about matchups and who was going against the Connor McDavid line and how they're going to change going into games 3 and 4 up in Edmonton.
We didn't chase any matchups here at home a lot, but we did put our best line against McDavid at home, and our best line in the series so far has been Roope Hintz's line. And I would love for one of those other lines to grab it where I feel comfortable, playing them against McDavid consistently. I think Wyatt Johnson's line, we tried, they got swamped a little bit. We've tried Duchesne's line a little bit. They got swamped a little bit. So those guys have to help us. There's nowhere to hide now going on the road.
What do you think about that? About who plays with whom and
He's calling out guys.
Yeah.
In a politically kind of correct way, he's saying we need more. And we can't just continue to rely on Hintz and Rantanen and Granlund, and they've been their best line for sure. But it's not even about that. It's about saying we need more from Wyatt. We need more from Ben. We need more from Sagan. That's what he's basically saying.
Well, talking about needing more, one of the questions yesterday was about Jason Robertson and his ice time. And, well, listen to Pete.
He's got to earn some more time on ice. You got to play better. That's the bottom line. Well, you're right. We're 8 games in, and he's not alone there, but, give us a reason to play more.
See, Luds, that was he added the qualifier of he's not alone because he didn't want to make it seem like if he's just calling him out. He
called him out he called everybody else out on that one.
Yes.
He only called him out because they asked about
They asked specifically about Robo, and he said he's not the only one because there's more than just that. But clearly, Robo's still trying to find his game, and the question is, can he get there substantially faster than he did in the regular season when he was coming off injury? I don't know if he has enough time.
I don't know if anybody knows that answer, but I think the one guy that could give us a hint is Robo. Yeah, he has to. There's times when, we talk about players after games and we think about things that they've done and you look at different things and then all of a sudden you go, you know what? I didn't see that guy. Another guy for me would be Mason Marchment. Again, you can pick out 1 or 2 guys if you want, but there's a group of them, and it's been pretty consistent from the playoffs started, for me at least, the reason and the spots that they're in. And they're here and they're tied in round 3, one game to a piece here, and it's been because of goaltending and a power play, and especially, that top line.
Connor McDavid was visibly annoyed with the questions about their defending in the clinching Game 5 against the Vegas Golden Knights when they won a shutout 1-0. And he said, I'm sick of these questions. Paraphrase, we can play defense. We're not just an offensive run and gun team. Well, after Game 2's victory in the visiting dressing room in Dallas, he started the post-game scrum with a joke.
So you got to promise not to get mad here. You got some big shutouts.
All right, here we go. Yes, we can play defense.
Yes, we can play defense.
Yeah, but I think that game was more about their goaltending. They can play deep. For sure they can. And what they do is they play defense territorially. They have puck possession guys, obviously a couple of really good ones and a defenseman, a couple of them that get it up the ice. Klinger's part of that now. They can transport the puck up the ice. They good breakout. They actually spend the same amount of time in the offensive zone as they do in their defensive zone. And Dallas is the same way. Dallas and Edmonton are something right around 40% of the time is in the offensive zone. 40% of the time is in the offensive and defensive zone. So it's not like they're spending a ton of time less, but the bottom line is they've gotten, a couple of good performances through the playoffs from their goaltenders, not just Skinner, but Pickard. When he was healthy, he was really good for a good stretch.
He was actually better than Skinner was and then only left because of an injury. Okay. So then McDavid in that same post-game scrum after Game 2 had an interesting answer I thought I'd share with everyone about the mentality, and we've talked about this before, about how you can get the same result over a couple of games set during the playoff series and yet feel differently because of the order of those results.
You came in here, sorry Ryan, it seems like you came in here and had 5 pretty good periods. Going back home now, I just sort of feeling about the series overall.
Yeah, we feel good, you win Game 1, you lose Game 2, you feel maybe a little bit wonky. You lose Game 1, you win Game 2, you feel pretty good. So obviously we feel pretty good about where we're at. As you said, 5 pretty good periods. We came for a split, we got a split. Got to go back it up at home.
The old we came for a split. No, you didn't. You wanted both of them, Connor. And they all do. But again, they've been hearing these questions over and over again. So they're already pretty polished in the answers that you're going to give, and you're not going to do anything that gives the other your opponent any kind of juice in a game. So he just kind of plays it right down the middle of the fairway.
Okay, so this might be loose here, but lines from warm-up. It's not what you expected, but tell me what you think about this. Mike Heika just tweeted.
Well, now I don't believe it.
Okay, Granlund, Beck, Rantanen. Seriously, Marchment, Duchesne, Sagan. Here, John, show the lines we anticipated with Roope Hintz playing tonight. Marchment, Duchesne, Sagan, Ben, Johnston, Dodonov, Robertson, Steele, Blackwell. The fact they have Oscar Beck there, is that a place filler?
Is when if Rantanen actually left the ice, Beck was going to be the extra guy.
You're talking about Hintz.
When Hintz left the ice, Beck just jumps up in the middle there.
Just to run those lines.
I don't foresee that Oscar is going to be centering those two guys. I seriously think if that's the case, if Roope can't come back, or I think they're putting a needle on the top of his foot would be doing.
Okay,
but I would
let's say he doesn't play. Here's your projection of if Hintz doesn't play. You said go with Wyatt moving up and Steele up.
Yeah, I don't know what would happen on the bottom six there, but for me the logical thing would be to put Wyatt there because I think he would complement those two guys. As not the same as Hintz would, but I think his skating ability and his east-west play kind of comes into play with those two guys. So I would think, because again, if you're putting the Duchesne line back and keeping that back intact, we know that there's familiarity there. You keep those. You have to have some guys that would play with people. You can't just be juggling it up. And again, the one that is hard for me and it's hard for him too is probably Robo. I mean, to play down there if that's the way it goes, because I do believe that in the regular season, okay, you know what I mean? You're sending a message, we need more, blah, blah, blah. But I think now when you need these guys and the 5-on-5 isn't very good, you got to give him an opportunity to get some confidence. And if that's the case, then maybe you can jump him up and down somewhere.
That's where I wonder if you wanted to try that. And I understand why they may not want to because they don't feel he's going to where he needs to be. But you could keep Johnston with Ben and Dodonov, and you could try Robertson with Granlund in the middle and Rantanen on the right, because you would hope that if Jason Robertson was going, he'd be the ideal candidate to be on the top line. Then you just have Beck, Blackwell, and who would be Steele on your fourth line. That's not a bad thing. Steele, Beck, and Blackwell have been very, very good this year together. But I understand, lads, he has not shown yet in 8 playoff games that you can count on him to be. Now, you're hoping at some point you see that sign where he does something and you go, okay, now you're up there. You're going tonight.
Yeah, and I guess for me, again, like I said, I get it if it's the regular season and you're trying to make a point, but right now you're trying to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. And if you got to give a guy, especially a guy that can score goals, his problem is he's got to get to the area to get some quality chances. I just think you got sometimes give him a little more rope and put him up there. And you can start him down here for 3-4 shifts and let him get pissed off a little bit, but then you throw him a bone and see if his play changes.
And see if it sparks it.
And if that sparks it a little bit, now you can throw him another, but you put him back out there again, you put him out there again, and then maybe that's a way to get him up there. And if it's your first power play, maybe you put Robo out there right away. I know that kind of shakes up a little bit, but I think you have to find ways to give him the hope that my coach has given me the opportunity tonight to get me out of the hole or slump that I'm in.
Okay, we have a couple things that we still need to get to. One quick thing is the Stars' penalty issues reared their ugly head in Game 2. Now, the first one of the 5 power plays that the Oilers had, I thought the Granlund boarding was a little soft. We talked about it in the post-game that it looked like Stetcher turned at the last second, and he wasn't very far away. That's one that maybe is debatable from a call. The rest of them, Harley holding on Draisaitl was obvious. Oettinger puck over the glass, automatic. The Blackwell interference on McDavid, blatant. And then Rantanen in the third period got a slash on Hyman. Okay, whatever. As far as whether they should be penalties or not, but the question is, Luds, Dallas has got to find a way to not give McDavid, Draisaitl 5 power plays.
You got to be in the right position.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be in the right defending area so you don't have to chase back and grab guys and pull guys. But at least they're doing it to the right guys. I mean, you mentioned Hyman, you mentioned Draisaitl, you mentioned McDavid. So those are the right guys. But again, that's about, we've even seen one of the best defensemen that we believe is around here in Esa Lindell get, torched by McDavid early in a game because he looked down at the puck. So those guys those kind of players for reasons. They make other people look foolish, even some of the best ones. But give yourself a chance to defend in the proper area and be on the right side of the puck and the right side of the player. And if anything, you give them the outside of the rink instead of the inside of the rink.
Okay, let's talk about 5-on-5 play, because one of the comments from this afternoon, Pete DeBoer met with the media an hour before puck drop, so just about an hour ago, and we have one clip we want you to hear because he was asked about the Dallas depth scoring again.
You know, you guys keep talking about the 5-on-5 numbers. We were -5 against Colorado 5-on-5 without Heiskanen, without Robertson. You know, in the Winnipeg series, we were -1 or 2 against the best defensive team in the league. You know, again, you know, we had Heiskanen for 3 of the games. Like, it shouldn't be a surprise. You know, the story here is how a team has gutted through 2 rounds without 2 of their best players. Who cares about the stats? Who cares about the 5-on-5? It's what you do from here on in. It's 1-1 in the conference final. I just, you know, you guys in the analytics and the 5-on-5 stuff, I mean, take a look at the path we've been on and what we've dealt with. You know, that probably explains most of it. It's probably why the analytics are trending the other way now, right? We're starting to get some guys healthy. Guys are starting to get back in the lineup.
Well, Lud's reaction to what Pete's saying there and the twinge of frustration that he showed.
I'd say testy.
Yeah.
He's a little testy. But if you're it's funny how you guys are all analytical guys. He seems to know all the analytical
He's aware of the numbers too, isn't he?
We all are. I mean, that part I don't get too deep into it because I don't get it sometimes or most of the time. But I mean, they are what they are. They tell a story, and so there's frustration there. And he's tired. He's tired of hearing it, you know. And he's what he's tired of is not having the players that he wants to. Man, let's be on the positive side. A couple of those categories, guys, so I don't have to keep on answering these questions.
And in that vein on analytics, you have some interesting numbers about having the lead at the end of the first and second periods and how that relates to the 2 teams.
Well, I was just looking at the 2 teams, and when teams have the lead, okay, when Dallas and Edmonton have the lead at the end of the first period, should they have it? They're both 1,000%, right? They win hockey games when they have the lead at the end of the first. When they're trailing, Dallas is only at 200%. Okay, or 20%, whatever you want to call it. So that tells you that they don't come back a lot of times. Edmonton, 600. So they're a little bit better when they're trailing. Second period, kind of similar, 750 when they have the lead at the end of the second period. That's Dallas. Edmonton is 800, a little bit better there. When trailing, Dallas is 445. And Edmonton, when they win hockey games, they do it about half the time. They're at 500%. So they're kind of similar in that area. It seems that there's maybe a little bit of an edge for Edmonton on the side of when they're trailing at the end of periods to come up, and that's probably because they got the 2 best players on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
That would have something to do with it.
Well, as we sign off right now, the Stars have yet to officially submit their lineup, meaning there's still a discussion of whether or not Roope Hintz will play. What do you think? Is he playing or not?
That's what I think should be done. I think there's ways that he can play. I mean, how big of a game is it? If you're 60-40, I mean, because again, if you do things to get into the game, you may be sore for game 4. So,
I mean, this is.
I know everybody that I know would play,
right.
And I'm just talking about guys that I played with a long time ago. So Sevy's sitting over there; he would do it. He'd have.
Oh, there's no doubt he'd do whatever he can.
Yeah. So,
but here's the thing: this is not game 6 or 7. This is game 3. The Stars need to win one of the next 2. To reclaim home ice advantage.
Now you sound like Pete.
No. I'm not trying to say it's not important.
I don't want to chase this team.
You don't want to be down 2 games to 1.
And I don't know how good. If he's 50-50 right now, how good is he going to be by Monday? Is it Monday? What is today?
No,
Saturday? Tuesday.
Today's
how good
Sunday.
Is he? I don't know. So he may not be good. If you can get into the again, maybe it's a coin flip. But the bottom line is, to me, number 24 is making that decision.
Number 24 is out.
That's what I said. He made a decision.
He is not playing. Oscar Beck.
I talked long enough to get that. That was
you
perfect.
did, and it was exactly what I was hoping
right
for. No Roope Hintz today. I would imagine we'll see Wyatt up higher. Not.
Are you sure
Oscar's on the top line?
Well, they might throw Brendan Smith in there. Maybe he goes play
Brendan
center.
Smith is a scratch today.
Oh.
So nice try.
I'd like him in there.
And one more follow up we didn't really talk about because we got to go. We have a watch along coming up. Petrovic is in, Lyubushkin out for the 2nd straight game.
Yeah, I don't know if it was going to make a difference for me at least. But again, I think there's good partnership there between him and Bichsel and familiarity and things like that. And I thought they played well together, with a couple different speed bumps there for Petro in a couple games. That was it.
There you go, guys. Game 3 coming up. We have a watch along with Brent Severin, our buddy from Victory Plus, is going to be live in studio. Check us all out. I'm actually looking at Sevy. He's over there. So he'll be coming over here in just a few minutes. Thank you to our presenting sponsors of the pregame show, Bud Light and Happiest Hour. Don't forget the watch along with Sevy, Luds, and me, and John.
And Bobby. Bobby will be clapping upstairs.
In just a few minutes. 2:20 puck drop.
No Sam,
Game
though.
3. Start, no Sam. Hang in there, Sam. Thanks for watching our pregame show here on DLLS. I did. Do it again.
But Sam is still reporting. He says Hintz is out. I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight. Oh.
We all silly like the mayor.